live once again. Welcome. I hope everybody is doing well. Please take a moment to hit that like and subscribe button. As always, we are back from what was a wonderful trip in Windsor. Well, we are back in Windsor after what was a wonderful trip to Chicago and Glenview. I did, a really fun live stream from Glenview. That was a blast. I got to show off one of my favorite places in the world, which I truly love. I got to visit with some good Masonic brothers. That was really, really fun. So no, it's been an absolute blast, but now I'm back. I hope everybody had an excellent and an awesome Labor Day weekend if you were celebrating it. I know some of my audience is from, for example, Australia and is not has different Labor Day, but for everybody in North America, in Windsor, in America, Canada, anybody who is celebrating Labor Day, thank you guys so much for being here, and thank you for everything, all your support, and I hope that you had an excellent Labor Day. Hello, Ryan. How's it going? How was your Labor Day weekend? Let me know how you're doing, Ryan, in the chat. We're going to start with this poll question. I had a great time at the baseball game. It was great that you were there. I was definitely feeling, because it was a very busy weekend, right? So that day in the morning, I was at the Masonic Temple. We cleaned up to get ready for the school, and then after that, I visited Mason, who was in the hospital. So that was great to get to visit him once again. You should always visit your Masonic brothers in the hospital if you can. So I visited him. Picked up the pizza, went to Micmac Park for the baseball game, which was an absolute blast. Then from the baseball game, went to Romeo, Michigan for what was very, very cool. I guess it's their peach festival. I had the best piece of peach pie I've ever had in my whole life, so that was really fun. And then made my way to Chicago. And then the next day I did 3 workouts at 3 different gyms, which was a blast. Thank you, ClassPass, including one of my favorite places in the world, Core Power Yoga. Had breakfast the next day with a Masonic brother and friend, and actually received a discount on my breakfast because it's my birthday month. And that was really, really cool. The fact that Ellie's Pancake House gave me $5 off. So thank you, Ellie's Pancake House in Glenview. Met some Masonic brothers, talked to my podcast. It was a blast. Marco Perez, I'm doing well. How are you doing? Let me know in the chat how you're doing, how your weekend went. We're going to be asking the question today, what is Masonic labor? So let me know what you think it might be in the chat. And then tomorrow, we are officially back once again for the first Masonic meeting since summer. It was a nice break. I enjoyed having the break very much, but it will be nice to get back into the swing of things. Good. But the first hour or so, we're just going to wait. We're going to see who joins us and who wants to chat. And don't forget, we will have the 1 a.m. stream. The 1 a.m. streams, I suspect, are going to be much briefer than normal because I need to make sure I get enough sleep. So I am ready to be in... So I am ready to check out and attend my lodge meetings, but I'm still going to make sure to do them. You're not wrong, Ryan. I consider being Freemasonry my full-time job. I wish more people viewed Freemasonry as a job. But I consider it to be a job anyways. I consider Freemasonry to be my job. Welcome. If you're just joining us, please take a moment, hit the like and subscribe button. Let me know how it's going and if there's anything you want to talk about. The first hour of these chats is always me just hanging out, waiting to see who joins. And then the second hour is specific topics. I'm going to explore once again, because I think it's worth exploring. We need to explore it. The idea of Masonic labor, what it is, what it isn't, how it works, all that type of stuff, right? I think Masonic labor, we as Freemasons define far too narrowly, I think to our detriment, so. But welcome in the meantime. Please take a moment, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, jump in the chat, let me know how it's going. And for now, do you have any questions about Freemasonry? Positive, negative, neutral? I'd love to hear them. Even if you are, let's say, opposed to Freemasonry, that's okay. Let me know why. Talking to people who are not fans of Freemasonry helps me better understand why I am a fan of Freemasonry. Do you think there should be more items introduced? I mean, that's a very kind of broad question, Ryan, but I would say yes, as a general rule. Regalia. Okay, so I thought you meant items as in topics for discussion, which my answer would be yes. When you say items as in physical items, no, I think we have enough of those, to be honest. I think sometimes we can get far too what's the word I'm looking for? Far too interested in chasing some of these physical items, and we forget about what matters most, which is the relationships or the relationship between individuals. So I do not think we need to have more actual items per se. I think it's better that we take the items we have and use them better and care for them more. Like you've seen all the times I've talked about all the different items I have and how much I love having all of them. But there's a difference between that, let's say, and introducing new items, right? So no, I mean, plus it's funny. I used to hate wearing those white gloves. So back, in Freemasonry, oftentimes for special occasions, lodges, they'll ask the officers to wear these white kind of dress gloves. I used to hate them because in my wheelchair, trying to get any type of grip on the wheelchair with them was impossible or very challenging. And we had this one worshipful master who insisted everybody had to wear these gloves. He just thought it was a big deal. It used to drive me crazy. Call your governor. Oops, there you go. Sorry, it used to drive me crazy because trying to get any type of grip was. So I'd be wheeling. It'd take me like an hour to wheel from one end of the lodge room to the other. I used to always complain bitterly about it. But he was the merciful master. He gets the choice, and he wanted us all to wear gloves. So that we did. And in the meantime, I hope everybody is doing well. Please take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button. And let me know what you guys want to talk about when it comes to Freemasonry. Any thoughts you have, positive, negative, or neutral. I will be, as I said, starting on the main subject of this stream shortly. In about an hour, 50 minutes or so. But in the meantime, it's waiting to see who jumps on and who wants to chat and what they want to chat about. So let's give it a bit of time. Congratulations to the Glenview Masonic Temple in Glenview, Illinois. I swung by and they have put some new, I guess, filling, I guess tar is what it would be, in their parking lot, specifically areas where the parking lot was cracking. So, good for them. It's the little things that matter, right? But taking care of our buildings, including the parking lots, is a big deal. It is something that matters a lot when it comes to our work. So I got to see the work that they were doing. It was awesome to see. Congratulations to, like I said, congratulations to Glenview Masonic Temple on putting the work in to ensure not just the building itself, but their parking remains available for visitors and members. Awesome. Also, I was thinking on my trip, so so I left Saturday night, arrived in Chicago Sunday morning. Well, we got Smokey in. By the way, Smokey, still you have to send me your email address. Get me that email address as soon as you can. I would appreciate it. What was I saying? So I arrived Sunday morning. The first thing I did was check out this thing called a gym pod in, no worries, in the Chicago Loop. That was really, really cool. It's a neat concept. It's a neat idea. It's like these little mini gyms almost that you book for half-hour slots at a time for like $6. I checked it out through ClassPass. It was a really neat concept. So anyways, I did that. Then I took the Metro train to Glenview and I went to 1040 Fitness, did a full workout there. Then I went to Core Power Yoga and did a workout there at their free community class. Thank you, Core Power. However, after that, I went to the Glenview Grind for a delicious cup of Glenview Grind coffee. It's one of my favorite coffee shops. And I was thinking to myself, perfect, thank you, Smokey. I was thinking to myself while I was drinking my coffee, I remember reading a book. I can't remember the name of the book or the title of the book. But it was this book, and one of the characters in it had kind of a challenging life, but the main character, her dream, like she said, when she grows up, or at the time she was grown, but she said her dream was to one day find herself sitting in a, yes, I got it, Smokey, thank you so much, sitting in a coffee shop with a cup of coffee, watching people kind of live their lives and knowing that she had a life that was worth living herself, and kind of that she had friends and that she had associates, but that she could relax for a moment and enjoy a cup of coffee and just enjoy kind of the quality of her life all around her. And I kind of I was thinking about that as I was sipping my coffee at the Glenview Grind. And I thought to myself, I kind of already have that life. So that was a nice little moment. It's nice sometimes to remember the good things that we have, as much as we possibly can. By the way, please take a moment, hit the like and subscribe button. I would truly, truly appreciate it. If you are just joining, let me know what's new and if you have any thoughts on Freemasonry. Dad, how's it going with you? I hope that you're doing well. What are you, maybe Dad will tell me what he's having for lunch. So Ryan, I'm glad you enjoyed the baseball game. Did you have any favorite parts of the baseball game? The, did you prefer the baseball, or did you prefer hanging out and just eating the food, which was delicious? What was your favorite part of the baseball? And yes, let me know what you thought of the co-stream. I'm hoping to do another one on the 29th of September. I think we'll try to stick to it every kind of, I'm going to try to keep a running schedule. So let me just see if I can actually pull it up here. The 20th of this month, another, there you go. People make it fun. I tend to avoid people if I can help it, but you're right. People do make it fun. 20th, we'll do I'm just pulling up my calendar to make sure I'm getting these dates right. Hello, Rosalie. How is it going? I hope that you're doing well. Thank you for being here. Oof, I got 112 emails while I was gone. Okay, let me just pull up my calendar. So, the 20th of September, do a co-stream with Smokey, and that'll be my personal channel. That's a Saturday at 12 noon, if that works. The 21st, do a 24-hour live stream. That starts on the Sunday, which will be fun to try something different. But I want to try to keep it the same day at 2 p.m. And then on the 29th, sorry, I'm getting this backwards. On the 20th, on the Saturday, do an Instagram live stream. On the 21st, do a 24-hour stream. And then on the September 29th, do another co-stream with Smokey. If that works for people. And then potentially do another, it looks like Dad did that. I don't know. I don't think there's no other people on the stream, like no other what's it called? Moderators, so it must be that he just accidentally deleted himself, which can happen. So September 29th, starting at noon, do a co-stream with Smokey. On the 20th, do an Insta Live, and the 21st, 24-hour live stream. No, I don't think he was trolling. I just think Dad just accidentally deleted it. Sometimes that happens. You press the wrong button. So that type of stuff can happen often. But welcome. I hope everybody is doing well. Please take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button. Let me know how it's going and if there is anything you want to talk about. And we're going to ask the question in about 40 minutes. What is Masonic labor? Because I definitely think that that's worth asking. Who's the relative? I guess actually probably shouldn't say it on stream. I don't want to share personal health information with people. But if there's something, I guess pass on my wishes to them. And I'm very sorry that happened. But palliative care, I know when my mom was in palliative care, I feel like in some ways that's got to be one of the tougher places to work from a healthcare perspective, to actually be in that position can't be easy. But on the other hand, I wonder if in some ways it's the most rewarding, because when you know that there's nothing you can do to make them better, that the end is coming, then maybe there's not as much pressure. It becomes more a matter of just keeping them comfortable and knowing that you did what you could to ease the transition to whatever comes next. So I don't know. I'm sure any job in healthcare is incredibly challenging, to be fair. But yeah, people in that position, I think, is particularly. I guess what I'm trying to say is nothing but respect to anybody and everybody who works in that healthcare field. Um, as you know, again, see my mom need palliative care, and being very impressed with all of the work and efforts done to try to keep her as comfortable as possible and keep her dignity intact during what is a very undignified time, I think, in anybody's life. Yeah, I just was very impressed with their work and their efforts. And so I think, yeah, I think I mentioned that too at Mom's funeral when I gave the eulogy, just saying, what respect I had for the nurses and doctors and staff at the care home, where she spent, I guess, about her last year of life, give or take. And Freemasons actually have in the past donated fair amount of money to um, different healthcare efforts. Uh, so yeah, let's give it a bit more time. Let's see who else joins. I'm going to go once again through what I talked about before. What is Masonic labor? I think it's very relevant and important that we consider that. Um, it's part of it being because we are past Labor Day, one day past Labor Day, and so I think Masonic labor is an important subject to discuss. And also, I have talked in the past, I think one of the biggest concerns I have and I'm seeing is a concerning limitation on what we consider Masonic labor to be. I think we in Freemasonry are being far too quick to limit our views on what Masonic labor is or could be. And I think that's the detriment of the craft. But we'll talk about that in a second. First, don't forget to sign up for my email blasts. You're going to be seeing some more of those coming, including one this weekend is the plan. Um, oops. Jeez. Well, I mean, be careful if it's storming. I don't want you to get hurt. And keep taking breaks and be safe. But thank you for being here. Some people have that, right? Some people absolutely have that as a request, which is fine, for whatever reason, if that's what they prefer. In my will, all it says is the service should be um, simple yet dignified, right? I didn't put anything else in there. So, whatever my kind of insurance covers, just keep it simple. That's all I want. Uh, and we'll kind of go from there. But I think, and there are even some Masons I know who have requested no Masonic service. Some have requested no service, period. It just depends on the individual and their wishes and the family's wishes. But I'm sorry, I hope he wasn't a friend of yours. I'm sure that because it's a smaller unit or smaller apartment complex, everybody kind of knows everybody else. But I hope you didn't know him too well. And if you did, then I'm sorry sorry for the loss. As always, we're just going to give it a bit of time. We're going to see who wants to join. And then we're going to chat about Freemasonry and what is Masonic labor. We have got so far 5 votes. Are you signed up to receive emails from Square and Compass? 4 yeses, 1 no. Whomever said no, don't worry. I'll get you added. If you want to be added to the list, shoot me off a message through info@squareandcompass.ca. And that is how you become join. That is how you get onto this Square and Compass email list. Yes, I did. I put in my will that I was requesting a Masonic funeral service. I always tell guys, if you want a Masonic funeral service, don't rely exclusively on letting your family know, because if they are dealing with your loss, they may be really struggling for obvious reasons at the time. It may be, they have a lot going on, and you want to make sure it's included in the will, and that you let them know and include it in the will, so there's no doubt that you'll receive the service, as well as a list of whatever it is that you want done with your Masonic items, your pins, your coins, your jewels. Let all of that stuff, you need to put in your will what you want done with it, right? I'm always encouraging Masons to think about end of life considerations when it comes to their Masonic items. I agree, they are very impressive if done well. And, done well is a relative term. I've seen some very impressive Masonic funeral services done not so well. If they're done terribly, then that's not good, obviously. But generally speaking, I find they're not too hard to organize. And usually it's possible with very little notice to do a decent job with them. So at least that's always been my experience. We're going to give it a bit more time. We're going to see who else joins. Like I was saying, there's no rush, but then at about the half-hour mark, I'm going to start talking again about what is Masonic Masonic labor. What does that look like? What does that mean? Why I think it's important that we take an expansive definition or expansive view of Masonic labor. Is labor? Is that Freemasonry's favorite friend? Is that what you mean, Ryan? I mean, you're not wrong. Freemasons should consider labor to be a friend or its friend. Right? I think Freemasons should look forward to labor, the opportunity to engage in Masonic labor is actually something we should be grateful for. It's puts us in a position of privilege. That doesn't mean that there's also not a lot of work that goes into it. Welcome, though. Thank you so much for joining us. Please take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button. Let me know how it's going and if there's anything else that you guys want to talk about. While we wait, in about half an hour, I'm going to start on the main topic of today's discussion, which is going to be Freemasonry and labor. However, that's about an hour, half an hour from now. The first hour is just me chatting about Freemasonry. Any thoughts people have, any comments, any ideas? Please jump on the chat and let me know what your thoughts are. Positive, negative, or neutral. I'd love to hear them. Yeah, we use most funeral homes in this area have at least seen a couple of Masonic funeral services. So usually when they know there's going to be one, they will prepare in advance the acacia. They'll usually have a bush outside where they'll pull some evergreen leaves from. So normally we've been lucky in that we've been able to rely on them to have everything prepared, which is great. I mean, having a relationship with your local funeral homes, it's kind of sad to say in some ways. However, you want to have a good relationship with your various and with your different Masonic, your funeral services and your funeral homes. That stuff is really, really important. So. But I do hope everybody is doing well. Please take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let me know if there's anything you want to chat about when it comes to Freemasonry. In half an hour, I'm going to start on my main topic. What is Masonic labor? And then tomorrow, finally, I'm going to actually going to talk about email setup, email protocols, how to make sure that your emails are being seen by people. Well, we have an Andre Smith, who I don't know if you can see him in the chat, but he just told me to be quiet and called me a bad name. Well, Andre Smith, if you say nicer things, they'll probably show up on the chat. Why don't you let me know what it is you want me to stop talking about specifically when it comes to Freemasonry? Or more in general, why you think I'm, as you call me, an idiot. What is it about me that you're thinking? And even though you think I'm an idiot, I hope you'll still hit the like and subscribe button nonetheless. And heck, join my email list, info@squareandcompass.ca. Oops. I mean, I might be, in fairness. You can see one of Andre Smythe's statements there where he says, shut up, but then he doesn't, you can't see the other one yet. But hey, that's okay. Everybody's entitled to their opinion of me, and many people have felt that way about me, believe me. Andre Smith is not the first. You could argue that that in of itself is even, well, it would be, um, what's the word I was looking for? That would definitely be Masonic labor. So I think when it comes to Masonic labor, right, again, it's not just what happens within a lodge. It's a lot of things that happen outside of a lodge by a lot of different people. And so I think we need to we need to have recognition therein or of that. But I do hope everybody is doing well. As always, please take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I hope that everybody watching this is having a great, great day. I hope you had a great Labor Day weekend, and I hope you're looking forward to a great week. I am, because it is the start of Masonic meetings once again. We had the summer off, so no meetings in September, no meetings in October. No meetings in July, no meetings in August. So as of tomorrow, we're back. It is the first meeting back of, I guess, the fall, and just 4 months, and then we get a little bit of a break during Christmas, which will be very nice to take a little bit of a break at that point, because I think we could all, Freemasonry are those things where it's fun, but you definitely need to enjoy the breaks when you get them, especially if you're as active as I am, whether it be the summer break or a much shorter kind of Christmas break. He's gone. I don't think he stuck around for very long, so. He's been gone, Smokey. He showed up for 1 second and then he's gone away. So I'm not too worried about it. If he shows back up though, that's cool. Even the trolls are welcome. But I will probably somebody I found on Twitter. X is one of those places where um, and don't forget, sign up for my email blasts. Looks like we have 6 people who are signed up and one person who is not. One person who is not. So don't forget, go to info@scoringcovers.ca. And oh, sir, I am not a soldier, Shyla. Sometimes people ask me that because they know I'm missing my legs and they wonder if I lost them in an accident, which is not, or sorry, lost them fighting overseas or fighting in the army, which is not the case. I was born without my legs. But no, I'm not a soldier. Soldiers are way, way, way tougher than I am. I'm a wuss compared to a soldier. My grandfather, Papa, was a soldier, but no, I am not. I am a Freemason, and I love chatting about Freemasonry. So I hope you'll take a moment to jump in the chat and let me know if you have any questions, thoughts, or comments on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral. I would love to hear them. And any thoughts anybody has watching this when it comes to Freemasonry, same thing. Even if you're more negative towards them, that's okay too. I'd still love to hear what your thoughts are. No worries, Shyla. If you want to, I don't know if you are subscribed. If you're not, please hit subscribe. Let me know if you have any thoughts or comments on Freemasonry. I'd love to hear what they might be. And like I said, if you want to hit the subscribe button, I'd love that as well. Yes, take cover. Smokey, if you have some lightning close to you, make sure to protect yourself, be safe. I forget what the rules are in terms of the best way to protect yourself from lightning. I think it's go to like the, I'm not going to say what the thing is. I forget what the rules are, but whatever you need to do to keep yourself safe from lightning, please do so. I'm just sending a quick message to somebody who's interested in joining the chat. Got to send them the link. Sir, from I could send this message off. Good. I'm glad you're going to be just fine, Smokey. I hope that you are. Thank you for scaring him away. I don't mind I don't mind trolls necessarily in the chat. Gives me a chance to hone my ability to debate Freemasonry. Okay, finally got that message sent out. But I do appreciate you being here. Just make sure that you are keeping yourself safe. Like I said, because we want you here for no other reason. We want you to be part of the 29th and the co-stream. If we do another one, if not, we can pick a different day. The way I'm hoping to keep the same day consistent. We can maybe pick the same day, but a different time. I don't mind doing it that way also. All right, please, if you're just joining us, take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Well, I mean, but again, we have to be careful how we define troll, right? Not that there aren't people who have a crummy life and are trolling because they want to make other people have as crummy life as they do. But I do think in some cases, for a variety of reasons, they genuinely feel that unfortunately they've fallen for some false information when it comes to Freemasonry. They've seen stuff online, whatever it might be, right? They've seen a whole bunch of stuff that ends up. My LinkedIn is actually kind of funny. That ends up affecting their ability to. They just don't understand kind of what they've seen, and wanting to, instead of just kind of listening to other people, they've become so convinced that they are correct that they're not trolling. They genuinely think Freemasonry is all these things they've seen in conspiracy theories, and they genuinely believe what they're saying. And in which case, I think it's important that we don't lump them in as trolls, but rather we try to engage with them, figure out why they think what they think, and how we can potentially get them to change their mind. Right? To me, a troll is somebody who comes onto this site and says Freemasons are evil and bad and wrong, and then goes onto an anti-Masonic YouTube channel and says Freemasons are the greatest things ever. They're just saying whatever the opposite of the chat or what the group is saying in order to get a reaction, right? Which is very different than, in my opinion, somebody who comes on and says consistently that they think Freemasonry is bad. Then I think that's not so much they're being a troll as they just have some incorrect information, and it becomes incumbent upon us to address it. Yes, I am traveling. I travel all the time, both literally and metaphorically. I even have that says traveler on my tattoo. I just got back from Chicago, actually, so I was both literally traveling as well as metaphorically traveling. Oh, Andre is back. At least he got in the chat this time with Fool. All right, Andre, let me know what is it that you believe makes me foolish or a fool. Uh, Sheila, Shla, if you're saying a little like John Bon Jovi, I have heard that before, and I will take it because John Bon Jovi is a handsome, handsome fellow. In another 10 minutes, we're going to start talking about our main subject, which is the question, what is Masonic labor? What does that mean? What should it mean? What we as Freemasons need to think about when we think about quote unquote our Masonic labors. It is not, it is coffee. It is delicious coffee. My favorite thing in the world is coffee. I don't actually drink. I've never had a sip of alcohol, vodka, or otherwise. Actually, that's not true. That's a lie. I did once have a sip of vodka. I thought it tasted horrible, and that was when I was 35, and I haven't had any sip of alcohol or other drink since. I mean, why would I lie about that, Andre? I feel like I would have nothing to gain from being dishonest about my drinking habits or my lack of drinking habits. I'm rather, I will say I'm very fond of coffee, though. Coffee is absolutely my favorite drink in the world. Coffee and a slice of pie, there is nothing better. And I was very lucky this weekend. I got to visit Romeo Masonic Lodge in Romeo, Michigan, where they were celebrating their Peach Festival. And one of the things they got to do at the Masonic building was try some delicious peach pie. It was literally the best piece of pie I've ever tried in my life. Uh, I mean, I do like peach pie a lot in general, but this was the most delicious, best tasting peach pie I've ever tried. So, thank you, Romeo, Michigan, for a great time at your festival. Thank you, Romeo, Masonic Lodge, for your hospitality, including this awesome pin. And thank you for the best slice of pie I've ever had, at least peach pie. This is I mean, I do drink water. Famously, Andre, on these streams, I talk about how I'm always encouraging people, especially Masons, to live healthy lives, eat well, and, drink enough water. And I'm famously terrible for not drinking enough water. I usually drink coffee all the time. And so I've been making a real effort lately to drink more water. I've even got a water bottle here with me. So who knows? Maybe I'll drink some water on stream just to show people that I do try to take my own advice. I usually do not succeed, but that's a whole other story. Um, so Andre, it seems to me that I think I know what the answer is going to be to this, but nonetheless, I'm going to ask the question, what do you think of Freemasonry? What are your thoughts therein? Since you're not a fan of me, I'm guessing you're not a fan of Freemasonry, but I'd love to know maybe why or what your thoughts are on it. Because in 10 minutes, we're going to start on the topic being um, Masonic labor and what it is. This is definitely not a bottle of vodka. I don't think this looks even remotely like a bottle of vodka, but okay. I guess we all will see those things. We'll all see different things. We're going to give it another, let's say, 8 minutes, and then we're going to start on the main topic, which, like I said, is going to be talking about or discussing what is Masonic labor. Because I think one of the biggest issues that we currently have is in Freemasonry, one of the biggest challenges we are facing right now is we are far too often defining Masonic labor in a far too narrow manner, resulting in us not understanding all the ways that our day-to-day labors in and of themselves actually relates to, helps us with, promotes Freemasonry. So well, Andre, I am not. So I will ask you one more time, though. Please hit that like and subscribe button. And more importantly, let me know what your thoughts are on Freemasonry. Positive, negative, or neutral. I'd love to hear them. And Schloth, I don't know how to pronounce your name. Shlla. I'm going to assume Schla. I do hope you'll hit the like button and the subscribe button. And thank you very much for being here. To everybody who's here, especially if you're here for the first time, I truly appreciate it. Yeah, I'm not sure. It looks like it's a combination of English and another language, Ryan. So I'm not positive if it is two different languages. But I still appreciate everybody who is here. And everybody who has hit that like button and subscribe button thus far. and everybody who is signed up for my email list as well. Which again, please, if you're not done so yet, take a few moments to sign up for my email list. The way you do that is you send an email to info@squareandcompass.ca. We're going to give it another 5 minutes, and we're going to jump in with the main subject. Again, what is Masonic labor? But that is going to be in 5 minutes. For now, I'm just going to wait to see if anybody else jumps on the chat to say hello. And again, if they have any thoughts on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral, or anything else you want to talk about, heck, they could talk about my beard, which I really got to shave at some point. I mean, I was really enjoying the break. I'm not going to lie. I was very happy to have a break from attending Lodge. So going back, I feel like in some ways it was over way too quickly, the summer break. But at the same time, we can't have a break forever, right? Sooner or later, we need to get back to work. So get back to, I guess, the more official, quote unquote, version of Masonic labor. So in that sense, I guess I'm looking forward to it. But that would be a good question to ask in general, even on Twitter. Actually, I'm going to write that question on Twitter. I'm going to see if anybody responds to it. With summer ending, how are feeling about a return to Masonic meetings? Actually going to put it, if your Masonic Lodge went dark, how do you feel about return to Masonic meetings? All right, there we go. Let's see what people say. How are you feeling, Ryan? I know you don't have a return to summer meetings or fall meetings, but how are you feeling about the end of summer and the return of fall? And are you looking forward to fall? Are you surprised that it seemed to go by quickly for you? What are some of your thoughts about fall, the return to fall? Personally, fall is my favorite time of year by a mile. So I'm really excited for just spooky season, theater, spooky season, scary movies, going to the theater to watch scary movies. I mean, I don't know. There's always discussion about different lodges combining. Whether it happens or not, I have no idea. We'll see. I mean, there's all in every jurisdiction. I always see discussions surrounding and on, do the lodges amalgamate or combine? Do the districts amalgamate or combine? All that good jazz. As a general rule, I tend to be personally, I tend to be very hesitant about Masonic lodges amalgamating or joining. I tend to be much more in favor of lodges trying their best to stick it out and survive, even when it's very challenging. But we'll see. Yes, fall is an amazing time for food. You're absolutely correct. Fall has the best food, right? It's all the root vegetables and harvest foods. So, I would say without a doubt, fall has the best food. It's soup season. It's soup and sweatshirt season, which are, in my opinion, two of the best kind of seasons you can have. Who doesn't love soup and who doesn't love wearing a sweatshirt while eating soup? Soup, grilled cheese, all that good jazz. Fall is also, as you say, there's lots of chili, there's lots of stews. From a Masonic perspective, that's when our junior wardens are giving us a lot of that delicious type of food. Soup, chili, stew, pie. Not so much even, yeah, there is cheesecake. I once saw a cheesecake pie combination, which looked crazy impressive. But by and large, it's lots of, pies, which again, I love pie. Who doesn't? Blueberry pie is incredible. The peach pie I had in Romeo, Michigan was incredible. So there's always a lot of really great stuff during this time of year. I have no idea what a sharp pie is. If you mean shared pie, yes. Nothing is better than having a pie with your friends, sharing it with pie, coffee. You can't go wrong with that. Shepherd pie, okay. Yes, shepherd's pie. So that's more the savory side of things, Ryan. You're going with the savory side, which is great as well and absolutely delicious. But for me, I tend to prefer fruit pies, pecan pie, pumpkin pie, sweet potato pie, all that good stuff. All right, I want to give it, well, I guess we'll start the discussion now. We are 1 hour and 3 minutes in. So I think we can go back. Oh, Parzival. I guess before I talk about what is Masonic labor, I'll talk about Parzival's question. I try my best. I got my nice sunburn happening here. What is my thoughts on the Luciferian NWO? Well, Parzival, first of all, I hope you hit the like and subscribe button. Second, I do not believe the Luciferian NWO exists. I mean, I don't know to what you're referring with that question. Because this is a stream where I talk about Freemasonry, or we discuss Freemasonry, my assumption is you're conflating Freemasonry with some type of both Luciferian group as well as some type of global New World governance group, both of which Freemasonry is not. It is not interested in any type of government, either at the local level or global, and it is not Luciferian. And I do not believe that there is a Luciferian and New World Order. I tend to be very skeptical of conspiracy theories as a general rule. I think the world is, in fact, what it appears to be, which is a group of countries, each with its own governments, each with competing interests, trying their best to get along with one another while trying to also protect their own interests. I tend not to believe that there's any type of single government entity of any sort, Luciferian or otherwise. So no, Parzival, Freemasonry is not. What Freemasonry is a civic or civil group, really a civic group, a social group, which actually, well, Freemasonry really is an umbrella term that refers to different civic and social groups that in some way or ways relate to or were formed from stone Masonic guilds of the 15th and the 16th centuries in England, right? Initially, you had stonemasons who built things out of stone, and over time, you had greater and greater numbers of speculative masons, which would be something I am, joining the lodges. And eventually, you had what was called speculative Freemasonry, which adapted the symbols and tools and lessons of stonemasonry and then apply them to the individual masons and the world in the form of moral teachings or moral ideas. Now, certainly Freemasonry has borrowed, or some could say stole, if you'd prefer, when, developing rituals, ideas from many different sources. They borrowed ideas from the Kabbalah. They also borrowed ideas from Stoicism. They also borrowed ideas from Egyptian mysticism. They also borrowed ideas from Chinese mythology. They also borrowed ideas from a variety of different sources when creating and developing the rituals that come to define part of Masonic journey. But it's not inherently Talmudic. It's not inherently Judaism or any type of religion. Again, there are elements of Freemasonry that were borrowed from Judaism, but also or kind of run parallel to Judaism or the Kabbalah. But again, that is not exclusive. You can find Egyptian mythology, Stoic philosophy. There's even some Chinese mythology that makes its way into Freemasonry. But at its core, Freemasonry is a civic group or civic groups based on stonemason guilds of the 15th and 16th century, if that makes any sense. Right? So, for example, the main symbol of Freemasonry, the square and compasses, which you can see here, right? What are the square and compasses? Well, they are tools used by stonemasons in the building and formation of any type of stone structure. As they use these tools to build stone structures, we use these tools to hopefully build the community around us in a better way. Philip Gore. So again, I guess the short answer is not based on the Kabbalah. To the extent it's based on anything, it's based on stone masonry and the lessons therein, but it certainly incorporates elements from a variety of different aspects of, again, philosophical teachings, heck, even in some ways political teachings, religious teachings, mythology, mysticism. It kind of takes from them all in one way or another. Philip Gore, telecom. I'm not sure to what you're referring when you say telecom. I'm going to look that up because I'm curious. It's a telecommunications company? I do not know what that means. Yes, I've been a Freemason Parzival since 2007. I'm presently a member of 5 Masonic lodges, hopefully a 6th one soon. I'm a member of... I'm currently the worshipful master of Border Cities Lodge, number 554, which is in Windsor, as well as Harmony Lodge, Windsor Lodge, and then I'm a member of Lodge Holy Land out of Israel, and Tranquility Lodge out of Texas. So I'm lucky enough to be a member of like I said, 5 different Masonic lodges, and maybe soon a 6th. Right? And I certainly don't know everything about Freemasonry, but I like to think I know a fair bit based on my experiences. And this is all, again, my experiences. By the way, Philip Gore, I hope you'll hit the like button. I hope you'll hit the subscribe button. Same with you, Parzival. I hope you'll hit the like and subscribe button. Look at the logo. So it's a T with 2 squares on either side of it. That doesn't really look that Masonic to me, or really Masonic at all. I mean, the square is kind of a Masonic symbol in some ways. But it's not the actual, like, it's not an actual square. It's this kind of square, right? The one here. So I'm not sure, Philip, to what you are referring. This means it's a neat logo, I guess. I don't think it looks like that. I think it just looks like the letter T with 2 squares on either side of it. So I don't think it looks like genitals. I'm not sure to what you're referring there. Unless there's something I'm missing. I hope everybody, though, once again is doing well and having a great day. Please, as always, take a moment to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. The T, oh, okay, this T, I get it now. I'm always thinking Freemasonry, because this tunes about Freemasonry. This was the first initial of the name of my godchild, and it's pink because my favorite, so their favorite color was pink at the time. It's changed now, but also my favorite color is pink, and Bret the Hitman Hart, my favorite professional wrestler, I've actually got his book. I was holding on to his book right here. His color was pink. But you're actually not wrong. I never realized, but you're right. That T does look actually very much like that. I never even put 2 and 2 together. Huh, that's really cool. Well, I promise you, I do not work for a Dutch telecommunications country, nor do I work for any Dutch company. I am not. I guess it's close. I don't know if this would be it's a lighter pink. When I first got the tattoo, there was a darker pink, and obviously it faded over time. I am not Israeli, Parzival. I am Canadian, born and raised, and proud to be a Canadian. Greatest country in the world. However, one of the beautiful things about Freemasonry is if you're a Mason somewhere, you're a Mason everywhere. So so long as it's recognized, I should say, so long as it's a recognized jurisdiction by your Grand Lodge, Israel is one. So when I got to join and become eventually affiliated with the Grand Lodge of Israel, particularly Lodge Holy Land number 50. In the same way, I'm not American, but I'm a member of a lodge in Texas, Tranquility Lodge. So it's not about citizenship when you're joining a Masonic lodge. It's about brotherhood. I did not know that. Well, that is very, very cool. Thank you for letting me know. I think that's very cool to learn. Philip, thank you for being here. I do hope you'll hit the subscribe button before you go. If you could, I'd very much appreciate it. And if not, that's no worries at all. Still, thank you for being here. But no, I am not Israeli. It's funny, I was just in Chicago, and Chicago is now trending So that's fun. I know, hopefully, I know there's a lot of stuff with Donald Trump. I was just in Chicago, and like I said, I love it. I always love it. It is my favorite. It is my favorite, probably city in the world, place in the world. I've visited there a million times. I've been there at night. I've always felt safe. I'd rather they not send in any type of federal troops. Having said that, I'm not American, so we'll see what happens. I'm back here in my beautiful home city and home country of Windsor, Ontario, Canada. Let's give it a couple more minutes. Then I'm curious if Parzival is going to jump in with any more comments before potentially I go back to what I meant to talk about earlier, which is what is Masonic labor? That would be awesome, Ryan. I mean, you're always invited. I don't know the next time I'm going to be going back. I think it's going to be a minute, unfortunately, since I make it back. But believe me, once I make it back, or once I'm going, I'll let you know for sure. Um, and I will absolutely do my best to let you know. Maybe we can go together. Like I said, it's a little bit more of a challenge now crossing the border because, at least in Windsor, we no longer have the tunnel bus, which I very much loved that tunnel bus. So it's a little bit more of a challenge, but you can still find a way to do it. And Flixbus um, still does operate services between Windsor and Chicago. Sorry, between Windsor and Detroit. So you do that, and then from there, it's Windsor and Chicago. Or Detroit and Chicago, I should say. My thoughts on the current situation in Gaza. So let me just make sure I kind of put this caveat in. I speak exclusively for myself. This is not an official Masonic position. There is no official Masonic position. Every Freemason, it kind of makes their own decision and has their own views on it. I think it's a pretty monstrous situation. I do not believe, I've never believed that, you have to separate the people of a country from the government, even if it's a democracy, even if the government's popular. So I have no issue with any individuals within Israel or any Israeli citizens. But I think the actions of the government are pretty monstrous and pretty horrible. I'm not comfortable with using legal language, right? Like you hear the word genocide a lot. I'm not comfortable using that because that's illegal. I think I'm not comfortable when you start using words like that. I will say though, it's monstrous, it's horrible, it's tragic. I think the actions of the Israeli government are monstrous and horrible in Gaza. For whatever it's worth, I'm a two-stater. I think the one path to some type of peace is a Palestinian state and an Israeli state. I don't know exactly how they're going to get there, but there's been many times throughout history where it did not seem possible that you could have a lasting peace between two groups, and they found a lasting peace. So I don't know. It's a monstrous situation. I think the actions of the Israeli government are themselves monstrous, and I hope somehow we get to a some type of two-state solution. But that doesn't mean, I will never, again, equate the government with the people. I have no issue with Israeli citizens as a unit or as a whole, or at least individually. And I'm still proud to be a member of a Masonic lodge in Israel. Because my brothers who are there, they are not representative of the government, right? You have to separate the two. Otherwise, you would hold the civilian population of every country responsible for the actions of the government, and that becomes a very dangerous place to be on all sides, because every government has at some point in its history committed some type of atrocity or some type of monstrous acts. And if you start to judge the people for the actions of the government, then everybody becomes a fair target, and that becomes a very dangerous place to be. I've heard the term for everybody, for every civilian. I've heard the term Amalek. I don't know exactly what it means. It's a biblical term, right? It's from Genesis, but I'm not familiar with precisely what it means. I just understand it to be a biblical term. Um, I mean, a lot of people, because they have this misconception that Freemasons are, or Freemasonry is a religion, which it's not, because a lot of people have this idea that it is. One thing that you see is there tends to be this belief that Freemasons should be familiar with all sorts of biblical terms and biblical ideas, which is not the case. Um, we might be aware of some biblical terms that may have been borrowed from Masonic ritual, but um, in the same way, right, Stoic ideals and Stoic philosophy, much of that has been co-opted into Masonic ritual. That doesn't mean that every Freemason is a philosopher or is a Stoic, uh, right, in the same sense. So who was or who is Amalek? I'd love to learn more. And to everybody watching this, please, if you've not done so yet, take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button. I would truly, truly appreciate it. And I hope you'll follow me on all of my different channels. I'm going to give it a couple more minutes. When I say ritual, what exactly do I mean? So Freemasonry has, for example, there's a set of ritual that relates to the opening of a Masonic lodge and the closing of a Masonic lodge, so it's done the same way every time. There's a set of ritual as it relates to when you join Freemasonry. There's a what would be called an entered apprentice ritual. There's a past master's ritual, a fellowcraft ritual, a fellowcraft ritual, a master mason ritual. There's a becoming a worshipful master ritual. Now, the ritual differs depending on the jurisdiction you're in. So, Masonic ritual in Ontario is different than Masonic ritual in Texas, is different than Masonic ritual in Illinois, is different than Masonic ritual in Israel. It derived from different sources, different groups. That's why when people say Freemasonry is based on, they'll say whatever. They'll say the Kabbalah, or they'll say, they'll say whatever it is they say. Again, because there's no single Masonic ritual, there's Masonic rituals that differ depending on where you are in the world. It's not the same everywhere, right? But the beautiful thing is I can be in Ontario and take part in Masonic ritual, then travel to Texas, watch their Masonic ritual, and even though it's different, I see the same themes and same ideas, just in a different form and with different historical origins, because Texas has a different history than Ontario. Kind of the local history of the jurisdiction gets folded into ritual. It's fascinating to watch. It's really cool. They are not Parzival. They are not harmful to others. I have seen at this point thousands of examples of Masonic ritual, uh, both in my home jurisdictions or home jurisdiction as well as while visiting. I have never seen anybody harmed in any way. Um, and so, no, it is not harmful to others. When you say harmful to others, I mean others. Really, what you others are not impacted by Masonic ritual one way or the other because yeah, the question is Masonic ritual harmful to the Freemasons who are taking part in it? And the answer is no. It is not harmful to the Freemasons taking part in it in any way. Like I said, I've been through multiple Masonic rituals myself through various degrees. When I joined, it was the entered apprentice degree. Then I got my fellowcraft degree. Then I got my Master Mason's degree. Then I became a worshipful master. Then I became a past master. Then I joined the Scottish Rite and got my fourth degree up to my 18th degree. At no point did I experience or see anything that would be harmful to anyone, including at no point did I see anything that could be described as satanic ritual abuse. Freemasonry is not satanic, nor, to my knowledge, have I ever met any Satanist who is a Freemason. Really, I think in some ways one of the mistakes that Freemasons make is we kind of big up the ritual in the wrong way. I think because we want to make ourselves, or because I think certain Freemasons want to make themselves feel or seem special, quote unquote, they'll talk about the Masonic ritual as a really big deal. Really, it's not. The purpose of, in my opinion, Masonic ritual is the same as the purpose of almost any rituals throughout history, which is to create bonds of brotherhood through shared experiences. So if I, let's say, joined the army, anywhere in the world, when I travel, if I meet somebody else who was also a part of the armed forces, whether it was of the same country as me or of a different country, I'm going to immediately feel a sense of connection to that person because I'll know that him and I went through something similar, right? Maybe it's not exactly the same thing because maybe he was a soldier in France, I was a soldier in Canada, somebody else was a soldier in America. So maybe it's not that we experience the exact same thing. And even within Canada, right? Like maybe if I was a soldier in Ontario and trained in Ontario at an Ontario base, maybe that means my training was slightly different than someone who trained at a base in British Columbia, or at least the base was different. And so they'll have different experiences. But overall, there's still that sense of brotherhood because we know we went through something very similar. With Freemasonry, it's the same thing. The reason why the ritual is important is because when I go through my entered apprentice degree, I now have a bond with every other Mason who took part in an entered apprentice degree, whether they took part in the degree in Ontario or in Texas or in England or wherever it is. They have now created a bond of brotherhood through the shared experience of the ritual. That bond of brotherhood in some ways might be stronger in my home jurisdiction because, it might be the strongest in my own lodge because everybody in that lodge not only went through the same ritual, but they went through the same ritual in the same building, with the same kind of people around them. But overall, you still develop that sense of shared brotherhood and ritual. And that's why I personally choose not to share the ritual with others, not because there's anything nefarious about it. The example I've often given, Parzival, and I hope that makes sense, is if you had a family recipe, right? That got passed down from your grandfather to your father to you, you're not going to then put that family recipe on the internet. Not because um, you're trying to hide anything nefarious in the recipe for chocolate chip cookies, whatever it is, but rather because maintaining the privacy of that recipe is a way to maintain the brotherhood between, is a way to maintain the family connections, right, for the future generations. In the same way, by maintaining the privacy of our rituals, it's an ability for us to maintain the bonds of brotherhood between past, present, and future generations. If everybody can know the ritual without being a Mason, then that's one less. The connection between the brotherhood becomes, in my opinion, less strong. Because now, if somebody knows the ritual, um, I think the danger is, and if they're not a Mason, then you have to then the brotherhood and the bonds of brotherhood become less strengthened, if that makes any sense. Well, I mean, I can't speak to what that person told you, Parzival. What I can say is, again, Freemasonry is ultimately a civic organization. To the extent that it is quote unquote mysticism, I mean, there's again the Masonic rituals, which incorporate philosophy, civic engagement. Um, stonemasonry is primarily what it incorporates. There's never been any example in any Masonic rituals I've taken part in that I would describe as demonic or demonism, or even that related to the Kabbalah. So it's again, it's about forming bonds of brotherhood through shared experiences, and that's why ritual is so important. And again, because you can define ritual as broadly as you want, right? Like being a football player, if you are um, um, showing up at practice and you're doing 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, practicing, 3 times a day, those are rituals, you could argue, designed to bond your teammate to one another, the hard work to bond your teammates to one another. But you wouldn't describe that as nefarious in any way, right? Nuwanda, I have never met a reptile person. I do not believe there are any reptile people. Certainly Freemasons are not reptile people. Parzival, I hope that makes sense, what I said about the purpose of ritual within Freemasonry, why I personally maintain the privacy of the Masonic rituals, the necessity of ritual as a way to form bonds, and the fact that every one of us engages in different types of ritual. Um, so, Baphomet or Baal is not connected to Freemasonry in any way. I've never seen Baphomet referenced in Freemasonry in any way other than in anti-Masonic rhetoric. But it is not in and of itself Masonic in any way. And I hope that made sense. But let me know, Parzival, if I explained the ritual well. But ritual itself, again, it came from many different places and it borrowed from many different traditions. Philosophical, you could argue mystical if you want to use that term. I would use philosophy in the broader sense. Ancient Egyptian philosophy, Stoic philosophy. It certainly came into its own with Enlightenment era thinkers and Enlightenment era philosophy, as well as civic ideas and as well as metaphors related to stonemasonry and stone Masonic guilds, if that made any sense. And Parzival, Nuwanda, I hope you'll hit the like button and subscribe buttons. I'd very much appreciate it. But no, Freemasonry does not connect to Baphomet, other than anti-Masonic people saying so. No worries, Parzival. And did you hit that subscribe button? Hit the like button? Maybe leave some comments on some other videos. I would truly appreciate it. I love doing this to talk about Freemasonry. You can even sign up for my email list at info at squareandcompass.ca. Oops. I could get this set up. I'm 1 subscriber away from 2,510 subs, so I'd love to get that if I could. If not, no worries. So I talked earlier, right, about my desire to explore what is meant by Masonic labor. You often hear Freemasons reference Masonic labor. In our rituals, for example, you will often hear mention of going from labor to refreshment, or going from refreshment to labor, or going back to refreshment, or going back to labor. And oftentimes what that is referencing is specifically, it is referencing the work that is done during a Masonic lodge meeting or a stated meeting or an emergent meeting. So either the making or the ritual that is used to create or make another Freemason or initiate another Freemason, or the administrative tasks that are necessary for the well-functioning of a Masonic lodge. Those tasks could include paying of bills, administrative work, correspondence, discussions in lodge about upcoming events, Masonic education. And so certainly all of those things constitute labor, and they are incredibly important parts of what it means to do Masonic labor. There's also an understanding of Masonic labor as being anything that is connected to Masonic work, but that does not happen during a lodge meeting. So when a secretary creates and mails the lodge summons, that's Masonic work. When a Freemason master completes the L forms, which is what we do in Ontario when we have an official visit, that is Masonic work. When a Mason gets the lodge books audited, does the finances, anything that's happening, visits a brother who's in the hospital or who's ill, anything that is done to improve a Masonic lodge that happens outside of a Masonic meeting is also considered Masonic labor very often. However, the most important thing I think to me to understand is everything should be considered Masonic labor. So I've recently got into Cobra Kai, which is a great TV show, and that got me into the Karate Kid movies, particularly the Jackie Chan movie from, I forget when it came out. But I thought it was really interesting because in that movie, Jackie Chan says everything is kung fu, right? And I looked that up. So, etymologically speaking, the phrase everything is kung fu originates from a Chinese expression literally meaning whether walking, standing, sitting, or lying down, live the way. Coming from Chan, Zen in Japanese, it meant the way is in everything one does, right? Since Jackie Chan de-emphasizes abstractions, standing, sitting, or lying down represents everything in our daily life. Well, Parzival, there is no ultimate goal to Freemasonry other than it is obviously a civic organization. But every Mason will have to decide for himself or herself what is his or her ultimate goal as it relates to Freemasonry. It's like asking what is the ultimate goal of football. It's like, well, I mean, to continue, I guess. The ultimate goal of a football team might be to win a particular game, but football as a concept, as a sport, there is no single ultimate goal, right? Or like, what is the ultimate goal of a knitting club? I mean, to exist, to encourage people to knit, right? I mean, because people will get into Freemasonry with different goals. Some people will become a Freemason with the goal of making new friends, some with the goal of being part of historical society, some with the goal of getting closer to family if they had a brother or a father or a family member who was a Mason or grandfather, right? For me, I can tell you what my personal view is. I believe that for me, the goal of Freemasonry is to create a better world through the application of brotherly love, relief, and truth. But that is my personal goal when it comes to Freemasonry. Everybody will have different goals, right? There's about 850,000 Freemasons, and there's 850,000 different goals that relate to it. I mean, I suppose, broadly speaking, there seems to be two different um, um, general goals. One would be the idea of Freemasonry as a path towards self-improvement, and the other would be Freemasonry as a path toward improving the world or our communities. I tend to go with the latter, that Freemasonry, the goal is to improve the community and the world, but other people have different views of it. So you have to ask each individual. But again, Freemasonry, because there's no single governing body or no single global organization, it's very hard to define any ultimate goals because, again, there's not one global entity telling Freemasons this is your goal. So it's going to change jurisdiction to jurisdiction, and it's going to change Mason to Mason. In fact, I would argue one type of Masonic labor that every Freemason must engage in is determining for himself or herself what their ultimate goal is as it relates to Freemasonry. So going back, right, when Jackie Chan says everything is kung fu, he's referring to a statement that literally means whether walking, standing, or sitting, or lying down, live the way. Coming from Jackie Chan, it means the way is in everything one does, right? Since Chan de-emphasizes abstractions, standing, sitting, or lying down represents everything in our daily life. While Kung Fu, in the narrow sense, means fighting arts, it could mean, in a broad sense, the time one puts into some effort or the accomplishment one achieved from the effort. In a way, saying Kung Fu is the way. Right? Martial arts is not about fighting. It's about bettering yourself. This must reflect on your life in your every action. It's about being honest, kind, compassionate. It's about fairness, leadership, and confidence. For you to be a martial artist, to be able to call yourself a martial artist, every action should reflect the best version of yourself. That is what he meant. Every action you should do should show the people around you that you are a martial artist, not just another mindless fighter. This is the meaning of the quote, everything is kung fu. And then simply put, everything you do physically and everything you choose mentally, life is kung fu is life. I think that this can apply to the idea of Masonic labor. Everything is kung fu. I would change that. Everything is Freemasonry. To be able to call yourself a Freemason, every action should reflect the best version of yourself. Every action you do should show the people around you that you are a Freemason, not just another regular quote unquote citizen. And everything you do, you should think about the ways in which you can apply that to the Masonic Lodge. For example, when I took the time to get my first aid certification, that was being done. That was an example of Masonic labor, because getting my first aid certification and paying attention to class and doing well means I have another set of skills and another set of abilities that I can bring with me into the Masonic Lodge in order to create a safer environment for all the Freemasons who are there. So that's an example of Masonic labor, because it's a set of skills that I can now bring with me into the Masonic Lodge. When I got my psychological first aid training, that is another example of Masonic labor, because again, it now gives me a set of skills and abilities that I can apply and bring to the Masonic Lodge to create a safer environment for my Masonic brothers. So if any of them are experiencing a crisis event of any sort, I know I've got the training necessary to assist them and help them in creating a better and safer environment. When I got my working with people with accessibility training, that's also an example of Masonic labor, because it now means that whenever I have any Masonic brothers who are disabled, or applicants who wish to join who are disabled, or anybody in the public who wants to use the building who are themselves disabled, I now have the training to be able to help them and support them in their Masonic, in their journey through the building. So that is Masonic labor. It goes even further than that, though. Like this weekend, I took part in 4 different training, like physical training exercises, physical training events. I went to the gym pod for a workout. I went to 10-40-10 personal training in Glenview. And then I went to core power yoga. By the way, Ryan, are you still there, Ryan? If you are, let me know. I got to tell you something. Don't let me forget. I mentioned it yesterday on the stream, but I don't know if you heard it. All of that stuff makes me physically healthier, but all of that stuff is also incredibly important, because it not only makes me physically healthier for myself, it also makes me better able to fulfill my Masonic obligations, because the fact that I'm healthier means I'm better able to, I'm more likely to be able to show up to Masonic meetings. I'm not going to take time off because I'm sick or because I'm not feeling well. It means that because I'm healthier, I can handle longer Masonic meetings and longer Masonic events without issue. It means I'm better prepared to deal with emergencies. I have better breath, better heart rate, better blood pressure. All these things, because I'm healthier, I'm now able to fulfill my Masonic obligations easier. Just like if you're healthy, you can fulfill any other obligations easier. And even especially the yoga work I did, the mindfulness techniques, it helps me better prepare and better perform, for example, Masonic ritual. Because if I have by the way, Parzival, I see your question. Give me 1 second, BK. I'm not sure why you're bringing up Jeffrey Epstein into this chat. Maybe you fell for the conspiracy theory that Jeffrey Epstein was a Freemason. To my knowledge, he was not. Nor is Freemasonry a Jewish organization, nor do Jewish people, as a rule, abuse anybody. Individual people abuse people, including young girls. Unfortunately, that's one of the sucky things about people, is they hurt other people, but it has nothing to do with faith, nor it's just human beings, unfortunately, for better or worse. What was I saying? Yeah. So one thing I've noticed is, so Percival, when it comes to Masonic, um, when it comes to Masonic ritual, um, sometimes you have these long passages to recite. Um, um, and because you have these long rituals to recite, what you end up with is people will, especially if they're new to Freemasonry, they will struggle getting through it. And you'll see what happens is they will start talking, and they'll talk in a very monotone voice, and they will keep talking, and they will keep talking, and they won't pause or take a break or modulate their voice or do anything to give dramatic pause. They'll keep talking until all of a sudden, yes, memorization. There's a lot of memorization in Masonic ritual, until they have to take another breath. And the reason is they're not practiced at how to manage their breath. They're not practiced. Well, yeah, so it's like when you're reciting something that's been memorized, right? And no different than an actor in a play. You have to recite this thing that's been memorized. You can try to recite it in such a way as to provide um, um, emphasis on different parts that mean something to you, parts that you think are important. You can pause at different moments for dramatic effect. You can raise your voice if you think something's important. You can speak more quietly if you want to force the person to listen. You can make it your own. You can make it your own thing. That's true for anything you have to memorize, right? Even in school, if you had a school project that required you to do some type of memorize something and recite it in class, you could recite it in a very monotone manner, or you could add emphasis and interest and pauses, dramatic effect, right? You can always tell a newer Mason from an older Mason, or I'd say, let me rephrase that. You can always tell a newer Mason from a more experienced Mason, because the newer Mason, unless they have a background in theater or are just comfortable public speaking, will have a tendency to recite ritual in a very monotone, quick, fast manner without taking time of their breath. The more experienced Masons are able to add their own flair and their own unique qualities and elements to Freemasonry, to the ritual, I should say. But again, going back to what I was saying, whereas everything is Masonry, because yoga is such, or places such emphasis on breathing and breath work, one of the real benefits from a Masonic perspective for me personally is it helps me control and manage my breathing while I am performing Masonic ritual. So by going to yoga, that's Masonic labor, because everything that I am learning about controlling my breath in yoga, I then apply to controlling my breath while performing Masonic ritual, which is really, really, I think, something I love to do, something I think is really, really special. Um, and again, the physical health benefits means I'm better able to fulfill my obligations as a Mason. I know I'm not going to miss a meeting because, knock on wood, heavens forbid, I have a heart attack or something. I can still show up because I'm trying to take care of my heart. Now, that doesn't mean I won't get sick. That doesn't mean you can't control everything. You can work out all the time. You may still fall ill, but at least I can say I put the work and the labor in to try my best to be there for the lodge when it needs me. Even um, uh, when I talked about the idea of giving something your own spin, I talked about this with some professional wrestlers before, right? There's this idea in professional wrestling of kind of you have a character. When you're performing a move, first of all, it's about performing it safely so you don't hurt obviously your opponent or yourself. So your opponent or yourself can come to work and earn a living for himself and his family. However, after you've learned how to perform it safely, then it becomes a matter of, and I'm not familiar with that term, Parzival. Then it becomes a matter of can you perform it in such a way as to put your own spin on it, to make it something that your character would do and how your character would do it, right? And again, when I was learning that, when I was taking professional wrestling training, I could apply that to Freemasonry and to my Masonic efforts because, in much the same way, um, when I'm performing ritual, what I'm doing is when I recite these different parts, I'm not just, oh, Ryan, I got something to tell you. Give me 1 second. Don't go anywhere. I'm not just reciting the ritual word for word correctly. I'm reciting it in a way that means something to me, that puts my own spin on it, that puts what I think is important onto it. And what's beautiful about that is you may have 10 people perform the exact same piece of ritual, the exact same words. However, each one will place the emphasis on different words, will use different dramatic pauses, will will say the words with a different kind of tone or inflection. And that's a really cool thing because what that does for everybody is it shows, oh, for this person performing the ritual, this is what he considers to be important. This is what he thinks matters. Whereas the next person will have a different emphasis. And what that does is it creates things, it keeps things interesting, but it forces you to look at these types of ritual in a different way. But again, that's me recognizing and understanding that the things I learn in professional wrestling is also Masonic labor because it's giving me tools and knowledge and perspectives that I can then bring with me into Lodge. So, does that make sense? I hope it did. Ryan, let me know if that made sense. And Ryan, you will be happy to know I entered into a contest. If I win, I will receive a free Aura watch. I know you were talking a lot about those watches. I entered into a contest through Core Power Yoga. If I am successful, I will get a free Aura watch for and a year free membership, which is incredible. So I am beyond excited about that because I know you keep talking about those watches, how they look awesome. So fingers crossed, I win, and then I'll be able to do a review of the Aura watch and what I think of it. We're gonna give it a few. So let me know, Parzival, A, if I made any sense. B, if you know want to let me know what light work is, and C, if you have any other questions about Freemasonry, and I will do my best to try to answer them as best as I can. Can't make any promises, but I'll do my best at least to answer. Although I do think, oops. Well, yeah, I mean, there is a script in Masonic ritual. Again, the script changes depending where you are. it's not the same in every jurisdiction. A lot of people don't understand that, but that is the case. That it's not the same everywhere. It's different everywhere, but there is a scripted component to it, right? Where everybody's who says the same things as they go through. It's both. There's the words that you say, and then there's certain movements that come with it, kind of traveling around the lodge to different areas within the lodge room itself. So basically you can in some ways think of it as a play. The difference is, at least for the first 3 degrees of Blue Lodge, you're not portraying characters. You're not portraying different characters. You're yourself. At least this, again, I'm speaking of Ontario. But you're being given information, and the information you're being given is scripted, and that comes with kind of certain stage, for lack of a better term, stage directions of where you're supposed to go with the candidate, with the applicant, and where the applicant is supposed to go. So a good way to think of it is as kind of like a play with a script as well as with stage directions. And part of being a Freemason is knowing both. Does Ura make rings and watches then? Because or was it hold on just one second. Let me double check this now, because I could have, let me double check something quickly. I'm going to sign into my oh, it is a ring. Yeah, you're right. Sorry. It is an Ura ring, not watch. I don't know why I said watch, but it is an Ura ring. You can sign up for it too if you want, Ryan. If you go to corepoweryoga.com, you can sign up. You don't have to, take any classes or anything, but you can sign up to potentially win. So yes, it's a win a year of free yoga plus Ura ring. Well, I saw that. I remember you bringing that up, so I was like, oh, I hope I win. Because then I could show it off. I've taken, how many classes have I taken? How's it going, Spirit? I don't know when you jumped on the on the stream. I don't know if you heard what I was talking about before, but if you did, let me know what you thought. And please don't forget to hit that like button. And if you're not signed up for my email list, I hope you'll sign up. Just send me an email at info at squareandcompass.ca. And you can sign up for my email list. And I will be back on tonight at 1 a.m. So I hope that you guys will join there, or join at that point. Let's give it another few minutes. Please, as always, hit that like and subscribe button if you are just joining. We're going to give it another 5 minutes, and then we will probably end this stream. I'll be back at 1 a.m. Ryan, I may be back at Coffee Club tomorrow. If not, you guys can find me 1 p.m. here. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I heard about that. Yeah, he was pretty funny though when he was he said he was doing a Make-A-Wish grant. It was pretty funny. So, you do. You do. That's very, very good advice. You do have to watch out for those triangles. I mean, I have no idea, Parzival, about that. I mean, I'm not a fan of Trump myself, but I know nothing about the Church of Satan, so I cannot say. That doesn't sound accurate to me, but I could be mistaken. I mean, and this is coming from somebody who's not a fan of our friend Donald Trump by any means. But we will, yeah, I don't know. But that sounds suspect to me. Having said that, I know nothing about it. Freemasonry is not related to the Church of Satan at all. So I do not know. Smokey is back. By the way, though, Ryan, you don't have to wait for Smokey to be here to hit this subscribe button. You can also hit to hit the hearts. You can also hit the hearts. Oh, so Ura has free wellness tips. I'm going to sign up for that. So let's get more people hitting those hearts, not just Smokey. Not that I don't very much appreciate Smokey doing so, by the way. Thank you. I mean, I'm not a fan of Trump either. I don't think it's pleasant. Um, Having said that, there are, as I've always said, and try to remind people, Freemasonry is not a political organization. There are many Masons with many different political ideas. I know some Masons who are big fans of Donald Trump. I know some Masons who hate Donald Trump. I know some Masons who have every view in between, conservative, liberal, left, right. Freemasonry does not have any particular political affiliations. And so when I talk about Freemasonry, and I give my opinion on something, always keep in mind that it is exclusively my opinion. It is not referencing any other Masonic opinion. Well, I know what humiliation ritual refers to. There's no humiliation ritual in Freemasonry, or no type of humiliation rituals in Freemasonry. Right, humiliation rituals, to my knowledge, what it refers to is any time you are made to humiliate yourself as a way to show support or fealty towards like a cult leader or something to that extent, or some type of leadership, as a way for leaders to affirm their power. That does not exist within Freemasonry. At least, again, being a Freemason since 2007, I have never seen any example of any what you would call humiliation rituals within Freemasonry. It's primarily trying to understand like a cult idea or cult ideal. Where again, if you humiliate somebody and they're willing to do so, it reaffirms your leadership as the cult leader. So if any groups require you to go through a humiliation ritual, I would suggest it's probably not a good thing. You should probably not be part of that group. Let's give it another couple minutes. Let's see who else joins. Please take a moment, if you've not done so yet, to hit that like and subscribe button. Let me know how it's going, and if there is anything else you want to talk about when it comes to Freemasonry, any thoughts you have, positive, negative, or neutral. We'll give it, like I said, a couple more minutes. Don't forget to check out my other stuff. Hit the like and subscribe button. As always, that stuff would be most appreciated. And remember, going back to this quote, I'm going to give the original version and then the Masonic version. Martial arts is not about the fighting, it's about bettering yourself. This must reflect on your life in your every action. It's about being honest, kind, compassionate. It's about fairness, leadership, and confidence. For you to be a martial artist, to be able to call yourself a martial artist, every action should reflect the best version of yourself. That is what is meant. Every action you do should show the people around you that you are a martial artist, not just a mindless fighter. So Freemasonry is not about the lodge, it's about bettering yourself and the community. This must reflect on your life in your every action. It's about being honest, kind, compassionate. It's about fairness, leadership, and confidence. For you to be a Mason, to be able to call yourself a Mason, every action should reflect the best version of yourself. This is what is meant. Every action you do should show the people around you that you are a Freemason, not just another mindless lodge member. All right. I think we're going to call this stream. I will be back tonight at 1 a.m. Thank you, Smokey, for being here, and I will see everybody soon. All right, guys, have a great rest of your day.